Okay, the time has come. The time has come for us to see what Bitcoin's going to do at the level we have been waiting for. So, as you can see, we're going to go straight into it today. We're on the 4 hour, and this is where we are with Bitcoin. Let's look at where we were looking at for our next potential trades. Let's see how they've done. So, last video or last post was about Monday, and we were looking for potential retracement into demand for a continuation here, setup number one. And we said, well, we could get potential continuation plays here, and we can also get some. I'm not quite sure why this short. Okay, this was the. Yeah, that I don't think that was really relevant. But anyways, we were also looking at the range low. If you look at this grey line over here, this grey sandwich of you know, resistance and supply, resistance and support, however you want to look at it. We're looking at this range low for a continuation play. What did price do? Did price get it? Did we get into any of our trades? I think not. So what price did was price carried on up. It did not give us a chance to enter on that retracement. It went up, retraced, broke structure, retraced, but this was a bit messy. This was difficult, and I'm sure this caught a lot of traders out. Why? Because we dipped into that daily supply. That daily supply is this gray box. Okay, we dipped into that gray daily supply, and then we seem to have changed market structure momentarily over here. All right. However, this change of market structure was simply a manipulation. All right. We did rally lower than that prior high low, and however, this was just a simple, it was a manipulation. So a lot of people would have been saying, okay, do you know what? I'm going to look for the retracement and I'm going to take it down. However, look what happened after. We had that massive move up, creating another tap at the high, again, into that supply. And then we got that massive flush down. So definitely something weird going on here, right? Definitely something weird going on here. This is not classic, price action in an uptrend. What we're seeing here is, manipulation and a shifting of price up and down, right? But let's say you were to eradicate this blip and you carried on with market structure. What you have is a higher high, higher low, perhaps a higher high over here, higher low, higher high, was still in supply. Okay, so what we're going to look at now is, based on the setups I gave on Monday, no real trades. Okay, no real trades, and that happened. No real trades. Now there were scalps, of course, there were scalps. There were scalps that you could have entered as price progressed, and I'm going to show you a bit about that in a second. So let's get straight into it and let's see where we are. All right. So what we're going to do today, we're going to keep it nice and concise, and we're going to just try and break things down as simply as possible. I know last session we talked about the supply and demand sandwich and how we like a good old fashioned supply and demand sandwich over there. Look at that beautiful painting. Yeah, that is really nice. You've got your supply as your top bread. You've got your demand as your bottom bread, and then you've got the ham and cheese in the middle. Right, the price action. Okay, we talked about that. We know about our entry models. If you follow here religiously, you know how to enter a trade, etc. All right, but we're gonna take a step back, all right, and see what's going on here because I believe Bitcoin is in a very pivotal position. I think it's in a very decisional position slash point at the moment where it needs to decide what it's gonna do. Now, Bitcoin has been in this range since March 2024. We are in October. That's a long time. That's a very long time. That's a very long time indeed. And in fact, that is almost about 218 days. Bitcoin has been ranging for 218 days. That is over half of a year. Over half of a year. All right, we've been waiting. All the bulls have been waiting for this bull market. All right. And all the haters and all the bears, I don't really want to call you haters because it doesn't really matter if it goes up or down. You've been waiting for this crash, okay? But this is a massive range we've been in for ages. Now, what's happened in this range? Well, it's obvious. In this range, we've had clear market structure tending down. We've had a low, we've had a high, we've had a low, we've had a high, not a lie, although I can do with a lion. We've had a high, and that's been the birth of this trend line. You see, the moment we created that high, we had the birth of this bear trend line over here. Okay. Shortly after that, we had a low. We had a flip in market structure, and then I'm just going to fast forward. We had another low. So we tried taking the lows out. We couldn't, so we rotated up to the top. We had a high. we had a low. This is what market structure has been doing so far. So this trend line has been respected how many times? Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I believe you would be silly not to look at it and say potentially we could get a fifth reaction. You'd be silly not to do that. And why could that be the case? Well, that could be the case because we could just be putting another lower high over there for a low low. Okay, this could be what's about to happen. As I've just said, it could. I'm not saying this is exactly what's going to happen. It could happen. So we must prepare for that. And we've been preparing for that for a while. And not only is this a very juicy point to get a reaction from, this is also confluent with this daily. Can we see here? We had a daily supply zone over here. Okay. And internally, we've had this 12-hour overlapping supply zone over here, which we've actually tagged. So this is definitely somewhere to look for that trade, 100%. All right. And why else is this a good place to look for a trade? Well, it's simply the retracement of this downtrend because we have an impulse, a retracement. We had an impulse. Perhaps we're getting this retracement, and then we're getting another impulse. Okay. Another way to look at this is as a potential, redistribution where you've had a drop, and then you have, let's say we eradicate this one. Let's say you've had tap number one, tap number two, and maybe this is tap number three. So a potential redistribution Wyckoff model 2 or Trinity model 2. All right. So now we're starting to get a little bit more advanced, but that could be potentially what's going on here. So, I mean, you'd be silly to look at this and say, right, just ignore this. Ignore this. You'd be silly. So we have to pay attention to that. Now, how are we planning to play that? Well, it's very simple. The way we are planning to play that is as follows. We are saying that, hey, we recognize that we have a trend line. Yes. We're also saying that, hey, we recognize that we're creating, lower lows and lower highs at this trend line, and we're reacting here at the moment. Okay. And what I'm going to say then is, why don't you look in this region, which is where we are right now, and see if we can get a market structure flip. Perhaps you drop onto the 15-minute. Now, this is the 15-minute structure. I'm going to do this in a different color. Now, let's say we're creating this high lows and high highs. Now, if we break market structure after tagging this trend line, I would try that with 1%. I'll give that a nice little 1%, wait for that retracement, and make sure I enter a short there. Okay, put my stop loss above the trend line. That is definitely something to look out for. Now, idea number 2 is, okay, perhaps we don't get this clear counter trend model 1 entry. Perhaps we actually do something like this. So perhaps this comes, this is actually what's going on right now, and this leads us to potential trade at the moment. Perhaps we treat this as a range. I'm simply going to change this to our range function so we know what's going on. We treat this as a range. No, we don't want that. We want, I'll say range 1. No, not range 1. Let's give it, bear with me one moment. Technical. All right, that's it. Perhaps we treat this as a range. So this is what's happening at the moment. So this is not a flip. So this comes up here. Our range low is there. Okay. Now we have a secondary attempt at taking this high, but it just SFPs. It just rallies a tiny bit higher than the previous high, and then it breaks structure over here. So we could, in that scenario, look for a retracement in and then wrap that down. Okay, so that would be your trade in that scenario. Now, some of you may want to get into this early. You may want to say, actually, do you know what? I'm not going to wait to break this range and wait for that retracement. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what's happening in this expansion leg here. I'm going to wait to see as we take that high. The moment we get an internal flip, so creating a first lower low, I'm going to wait for that retracement and I'm going to take that there. So in that case, I'm going to enter a trade from here. My short trade is going to be there. My stop loss is still going to be up there. Okay, but you've just got an earlier entry as a result. So what I'll do now, just to make this clearer, is I'll change the color. Okay, let's change the color of this. So we'll change the color of this line. Let's make it a nice green. We'll change the color of the internal line. Let's make that a nice little purple. And yeah, that's kind of what you should be looking out for at the moment. All right. Now, what would your oscillators be doing? Now, if you are someone who trades using oscillators, if you trade using Market Cipher, which I personally love. If you trade using RSI, if you trade using MACD, if you trade using Magic Cross, moving averages, whatever you're doing, yeah, you should also be seeing a divergence, a bearish divergence in this region where you have your price creating higher highs. So from this high to that high, and your oscillator will be creating the opposite. Okay. So that's what I'm looking out for. So enough with that diagram. Let's go into the current price action so that this comes to life. So I tell you so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So to do that, I'm going to drop to the 15. Okay. And we can see here, all right, well, not clearly, but we can see here this structure, this upward structure. Now, this upward structure, um, I'm going to make that thicker, first of all. Actually, I'll make it green, yeah, and I'll make it thicker. I'll make it 3 thickness. So we have this upward structure, which we're aware of. This upward structure, green thickness, number 3, green, yeah, super. So we've got that, right? This is your upward structure all the way from this range low over here. Just to show you what's going on, this is all I've drawn. I've drawn the upward structure from that last, high low, okay, all the way up. We've got high, 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 low, high, 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 low, high, high. That's where we are, okay? Now, internally, we have had structures develop. If we drop back to the 15, now internally, remember what I said, we're going to disregard this stupid little manipulation here. We've got higher high, higher low, high high, high low, higher high. Okay, so this is what's happened. So what we're going to do is, why don't we make this a thickness number 2 and give this purple? All right. So internally, this is what's happened. Ignore all this stuff. Ignore all of this. Ignore all of this. Ignore everything until I tell you to pay attention to it. So we've got this purple structure that we've seen develop. So that means, as we have wicked into this daily level, and also we've wicked into this 12-hour supply up here, okay, there is a chance that we get a flip in market structure. Why? Because that's our confirmation. We're waiting for a flip in market structure to enter these trades. Flips in market structure are less reliable on the lower time frames. If you're trading on a 1 minute or the 2 minute, they are less reliable than, say, you're getting a flip on the 10 minute, on the 15 minute. So we're waiting for a high time frame flip. Okay. So now, what does that mean? Well, that means we're waiting for a flip in market structure of the purple structure before we look to enter a short. Now, did we get that flip? No, we did not. We had higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then we started to come down. We tried. We gave it a good shot. We had attempt number 1, attempt number 2. We even had attempt number 3 over here, but we couldn't quite close below this level. And this is why I've put weak. All right, weak, or we had a wick, however you want to interpret that. All right, but why did we come up here? Why did we rotate up again? The reason we rotated up, because this was simply a retracement. So all this was a retracement all the way down, all right, for another continuation up. That's all this was. Now, I actually managed to enter a long trade here yesterday, okay? And I entered a long trade just because I realized, well, it was a risky one. It was risky because, yes, we are in, supply. We are in the range high. We are in the manipulation phase of our range. If this is our green range, we've kind of just poked out at the range high, so there is a chance that we rotate down. Yes. But regardless of that, can I enter a long scalp? Can I enter a quick scalp play based on what price action is showing me? Of course. What was price action showing me? Well, price action was showing me that it's struggling to take out this low on this uptrend. That suggests we may get a rotation up again. Not only that, we had a supply zone over here. This not supply, sorry, excuse me. We had a demand zone over here. Now this is demand. This is simply a retracement into demand. And guess what? That's exactly how price moves. What do I mean by that? Well, price simply, in an uptrend, creating higher highs and higher lows, gets loads of mitigation into demand. For example, in the first impulse, this is a demand zone. Price sometimes gets a mitigation before it carries on up, or it may not get mitigation. All right. But anyways, that's how it works. And here we've got another zone. What does price do? Well, price comes back down, gets the juice before it goes up again. And that's all price is doing. That's all price is doing here. You can see that here. Impulse comes back. Impulse comes back. All right. So what I did then is I said, you know what? I'm gonna have a go at this. I think was I in bed when I took this trade? No, I wasn't in bed. Was I? Wait, let me see what time I entered. I believe I entered right around here. No, it was in the afternoon. I was not in bed. All right. But anyways, what I was waiting for is I said, cool. So I'm going to follow this downtrend now, and I'm going to wait to see where does market structure flip. That's why you can see my green drawings here. Market structure flipped here. So if we look at the market structure, we have, if we start from up here, perhaps, we've got lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Well, we've then got lower low, lower high. We won't really class this as a break, all right? And then we come back down. Now we break structure. This is the break, okay? Now, because we got that break, I'm happy. Happy days. I'm like, yep, that continuation may be taking place. We've tagged demand, that pink box. So, yes, we may be going back up. So based off of that, I've said, actually, why don't I look for that retracement? So I'm going to change it to, no, black doesn't make sense in there. Let's change it to night. Yeah, that's it. You can see that. All right. So I'm going to say, right, well, I'm going to just wait for my retracement. What did my retracement do? My retracement came one leg down, two legs down. And then I said, yep, I'm going to enter now. I'm going to enter now. Why? Because I'm deep into my retracement zone. I'm going to enter now, and I'm going to put my stop loss at this low. And that's exactly what I did. Now, if you were looking on a lower time frame, let's say the 2 minute, and you're waiting for a reconfirmation, did you get one? No, you didn't quite get one on the 2 minute. Your 2 minute last, lower high would have been all the way up here. All right, which is a way off. Let's see on the 1 minute. Did we get it on the 1 minute? I'm looking for reconfirmation, which would have given you added confidence. Yes, we did get a reconfirmation on the 1 minute. Why? Because on the 1 minute, it looks like this: lower low, lower high, lower. Ooh, it would have been nice to get one here, but based on classic bar technique, we didn't really get one here. So we got the lower low, then we got a flip here, then we got a retracement either here or the retracement here, and then we carried on up. Okay, so if you didn't enter the trade here, you could have entered that trade here. Anyways, that's how I entered that trade, and that's a trade I'm still currently in, and it's a trade. I'm kind of breaking my rules here today because usually I would have taken profit as soon as we got at least, you know, a 2-to-1 X on that trade. But, I'm feeling a bit risky today. So what I've said to myself is I'm not going to take profit on that trade. All right. But instead, what I am going to do is I am going to move my stop loss to entry. So if you imagine my trade, I can have a look in a sec, but I don't really have the time to do that. My trade was around here. My stop loss was around here. Okay. All right. Nice. And then now we're all the way up here. Okay. So I could take profits, could come out if I really wanted, because we've already bagged. I mean, we've gone up as high as 6x while I was asleep when that was happening. Okay, I could have set a limit order, but I just said to myself, do you know what? I'm just gonna move my stop loss to entry, and I'm gonna see what happens. That price could come all the way down, and I could be stopped out at break even. That's fine. All right. All right, so now where is the next trade coming from? That's the question. Also, why did we rotate up here? Well, the reason we also rotated up here, for those of you who have followed these videos or taken one-to-one lessons and learned about liquidity, we can see that we've got this nice pool of liquidity over here, all right, which simply got run. All right, so we came back, took these stop losses, took these stop losses, and right now we're looking at this high, all right, the initial shorters. Okay, we're looking at this high to see whether we can sweep this or not. All right, cool. So that's what we're looking out for. All right, so what I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to get rid of this daily zone. All right, because now we've got this 12-hour zone that we're working with. I realize it's time for a retracement. We can get a pullback or flip at any point. All right, so where are my next trades coming from? Well, first of all, I realize this whole region is a range. Okay, you could see this as a potential tap number one at the range high, tap number two, okay, and a prospective tap number three, okay, somewhere up here. Or you could also see this as a simple, tap number one of our range and a second tap of our range. All right. So again, we're looking to see if we can get a short here. This is this short that we're planning. This little short here, that's what I'm looking out for. Now, not just that, internally, if we look at this expansion leg, we have another range here. Can you see this internal range? We had high, we retraced, and we had a secondary attempt that didn't quite go as high as we wanted it to. Okay, so there is a chance that we have a big range and then a smaller range in here. All right, I'm just gonna get rid of this because we don't need these anymore, do we? All right, we don't have much time. We've got about maybe 5 minutes left before TradingView kicks me out. All right, so here we could potentially be seeing another range, and for those of you who can't see that, I am going to make that thickness of 3, and I'm also going to make that blue. Okay, so this could be this internal range that we're looking at, where we've got tap number 1, tap number 2 for prospective tap number 3 up here. All right, so that's why I'm looking for that trade as my potential short. I'm going to be looking for a flip in internal market structure for that short, but also I'm looking for continuation long simply from this range low to this range high. Why? Because I realize on this expansion leg on the way up of higher highs and higher lows, we can see here, okay, that this is what the structure looks like. So we've created some demand, 45-minute demand in here, all right, and we've got this range low. So price could easily come all the way down as we're seeing right now, okay, sweep this liquidity, tag into this demand, and then rotate up. Now, this is why I've got this trade over here planned. All right, so we're waiting to see that. Those are kind of my two major trades today. All right, I'm not going to lie. Those are the two trades I'm looking at today. If trade number 1 happens, I'm going to take it. If trade number 2 happens, I'm going to take it. I'm going to put a nice little 1% on both of them, and I'm going to see where it goes. Which one do I prefer? I would prefer this trade to take place because this is the bigger mover. Why? Because the target of this internal range trade, the target of this is simply my range high. So that's giving me a 2.9x. All right, that's meaty. That's mediocre. Now, the target for this guy is at least an 11x. Why is it an 11x? Because I realize this is actually the range high. Okay, this is actually the range high, and this also could be a potential PO3. What do I mean by PO3? Well, if you want to learn about PO3, hit me up and we can have a session about PO3. But to go into it now will take a bit more time. Anyways, this could be a PO3 where we've had accumulation, and this could be our manipulation for that expansion all the way down here. And that's giving, oh, look at that. That's giving me a 34x. Now, if that happens, that would be nice. That would be very nice. Very, 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 very nice. All right. So that would be a nice 34% on your account. That's your challenge done. That's your funded account challenge done, whichever broker you're using. One trade done. I don't think many of them expect 40% or 30%. Now, I think most of them are about 10%, 10 to 15%. But that would be your funded account sorted in one trade. All right. All right, so we've just discussed what's going on up here. Now, what if price says, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I don't care about this trend line. I don't care about these supply zones that you think is going to stop me. I don't care about any of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up. I'm going to break that trend line. All right. And the moment that happens, oof, YouTube is going to explode. YouTube is going to explode because everyone's going to be thinking, right, we could be in for a retest of that trend line, obviously, for further continuation up, or we could be in to simply head. So we may not get that retest, perhaps at this 12-minute supply zone, we may not, but I would suggest you watch that zone for a trade. I'm going to put it in here, but watch that zone for a trade, okay? But be careful though. Be careful long in this, all right? Be careful long in this. Why? Because I'll just pause this for a second. I'm going to get rid of this. Be careful long in this unless you get clear confirmation, clear market structure confirmation, which must look like this. So in your internal structure, come in this, creating lower lows and lower highs, and then you get that flip, okay? Then you continue on that retracement. That flip would have taken place right around here, okay? Make sure you see that before you enter that trade. Why? The reason you have to wait to see a reconfirmation is because if we come all the way up high here, it could just be the fact that we are sweeping either this liquidity point, okay, or we are sweeping this liquidity point for another rotation down. And in that case, you do not want to get caught here. Okay, so just be careful. Make sure you get a confirmation there. All right. And next, the second scenario, which I was going to talk about, was the fact that, hey, you know, this trend line of liquidity is reason to head further up because we've got stop losses over here and stop losses over here. We could actually just say price is going to come up for that range high. All right, that's it. All-time high again, Bitcoin. Here we go. We're going to the moon. We're going to 100K. That's a potential play. Of course, I'm still going to be looking for shorts there, but man, it's looking kind of bullish. I'm not going to lie, it's looking bullish. You know why? The reason it's looking bullish because why would we spend 218 days to create all this liquidity just for a tiny move up here and then a drop? Okay, because of this way this liquidity is looking, all right, it's kind of giving me the vibe that if Bitcoin is to move and break through this range, it's going to be an aggressive one. It's going to be a bang, bang, bang. Kind of similar to what gold did. I don't know if you guys trade gold, but I'll quickly show you what gold's been up to. Oh man, look at that. Look at gold. All right, look what gold did. So if we look on the 18 hour of gold, so look what gold did. Let's look at the daily. So gold created all this liquidity. Look at that. In this little range here, created all the high, relax here a bit, then bang, shot up. It did it again here, created all this liquidity, high, bang, shot up. Okay, I'm kind of getting that feeling that if it is to break up, it's going to be an aggressive one. By the way, guys, make sure you're watching out for gold. Because gold is at prices it has never been before. It's at historic prices. Crazy, crazy. Look at that. That is a chart and a half. Crazy prices. But anyways, back to Bitcoin. Back to Bitcoin, back to Bitcoin, back to Bitcoin. So what are we looking out for then? In that case, well, clearly we're still going to look for a short at the range high. Yeah. Oh, this looks messy. Oh, that's better. All right, we're still going to look for shorts at the range high up here. All right, well, we're going to be wary that, a continuation play is likely in the case that happens. All right. When the time comes, I will give you the trades and I will let you know what to look at. So in the meantime, just stay put. Now, if you want to learn how to do this yourself, if you're tired of waiting for me to upload a video, all right, just hit me up on the website, tradejournal.co.uk. You've got a WhatsApp function there, which you can, get straight in touch to me via WhatsApp. Yes, if you found this useful, don't forget to hit the follow button if you want to stay, in the loop. Otherwise, I will see you next time.